If anybody out there is hate listening to us, please reach out. You can talk shit, that's fine, but I'd be genuinely curious to know if anybody hate listens to us.
Fucking Gordo, he's not even like a real person.
I'm AI.
Welcome back, everyone, to S1E1, a show where each week we pick a different sitcom, watch just the first televised episode, and forgetting anything we might know about the future run of that show, rate it and decide if it's a show we want to greenlight or cancel. This week we're going to be talking about Maron. Maron went 49 episodes over 4 seasons on IFC. Today we're talking about episode 1, which was called Internet Troll, originally airing May 3rd, 2013. To get things started, I'm Jay Gags. With me as always, the boys, Joe, Ferg, Nick, and Gordon. What's going on, guys?
Hey, hello.
I Googled who's my ex-wife banging.
So,
and my Google Assist was like, sure, let me help you with that. It's like, hey, Google Assist, I don't want to fucking know. Thank you, bud.
Maron, Nick, your pick, correct?
Yes.
Any particular reason you want to do this one?
Well, I feel like it's come up before, like maybe not even on the podcast, just like as we were discussing things on the side, and I've always wanted to pick it, but I just never think of it in the time. I've seen this show in its entirety. I started watching it as the last season had finished, I believe, probably back in 2016, 16 or 17 or something like that. So I got to binge the whole thing, and I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoy him as a comedian. I like his podcast too. Just kind of like an interesting guy, and he's like super neurotic and open about how neurotic and weird he is, and I love it.
He came up a lot because Gordo goes through all different looks, and there was a time where he looked a lot like him, so we kept bringing it up.
I feel like Gordo's intentionally not wearing glasses tonight.
I just took it up because it's grease around the top because my
nothing he
skin.
does is intentional. He probably doesn't even know who it is.
Very valid point.
I actually almost cut the Dan Dyke or whatever he has in today to come on the podcast. I really thought about it.
Yeah, where's your commitment?
But yeah, this is the Marc Maron show. Is this the first IFC show that we've ever covered on our show?
No, it's not.
No, it's not. And I feel like it was recent too.
We've done 200 shows. I can't tell you.
No, we did one other one.
Actually, I don't know if it's an IFC
Was Last
original.
Man on Earth IFC?
No,
it was
that was
Fox.
FX. Oh, Fox. I'm sorry.
I don't want a bunch of dead air of us going and trying to figure it out. But
The only other IFC show that I know was an IFC show, I watched all of Maron as well. The only other one I can remember that I watched all of was Documentary Now.
I think Portlandia, but that's not a show that we would cover.
This is one of those shows though that it's been like almost a decade since I've watched it. I could pretty much watch it for the first time again at this point. So I've seen the whole thing, but
This is the first time I've ever seen an episode, which is surprising because I do like Marc Maron and I've never seen the show.
Me too.
it's incredibly hard to find too.
Yeah, it's not streaming anywhere anymore. It was on Netflix for a while.
You
I
can
did
buy
try
it.
looking that up. It said it's available on Apple TV, but I don't have Apple TV to verify.
I have it, but you have to buy it.
Oh, okay. It didn't mention that on it. Usually it'll tell you if you have to pay for it when you do that, where to watch.
No.
I will say though, I might buy this one again because I really enjoyed rewatching it.
We've covered a lot of sitcoms now with stand-up comedians moving into the sitcom. We've not had much luck other than Seinfeld, maybe Louis.
I think George Lopez was kind of well received, wasn't he?
I always forget about Lopez.
This one's different though, because this one is, I think, much more like Louis, where it's
But George Lopez was not playing like George Lopez real life. Yeah, the way Seinfeld played himself and Mulaney played himself.
Yeah, like Tim Allen did stuff from his bits, but it wasn't like he was.
Yeah, he was Tim Taylor, not Tim Allen. Yeah, so this is one of those shows where Marc Maron is playing a fictionalized version of himself.
Right.
Including his real life podcast, WTF.
I was trying to think of how long I've been listening to Maron's podcast, and it's before I had a smartphone, so I didn't listen to podcasts. I just didn't, right?
He is, that's what I was going to say. He is, I think, the first podcast.
He's like the first big one for sure. But when I got the job I work at now still, like almost 13 years ago. And back then you could listen through like an audio player on the website.
Yeah.
So I just listened to like the first 200 episodes in a row working because that was like great to listen to when he worked. And then after that, over the years, I've gone back and listened to, I still follow him. I still listen to his podcast. He did Crockett the other day. Don Johnson. It was a fun one.
Is he pre-Rogan?
Yeah. So that's the thing, like, obviously Rogan gets a lot of credit, and then you have like Adam Carolla, who's known as one of the early guys in podcasting. And Marc Maron, I think if you're like in the know, you know Marc Maron's one of the OGs, but he's not like as universally thought of for whatever reason. I don't know why, but he's become a little more niche than like the other giant OGs. But his podcast is huge. Like, don't get me wrong.
Now, if you guys had to start a podcast,
we did.
What would you start a podcast on?
I think the question there is, if you could go back in time and not start a podcast, would you? And the answer, I think everyone here would say resoundingly was, yes, we would not start this.
Also, too, I believe the other IFC show was the increasingly poor decisions of Todd Margaret.
You're right.
You're
that
right.
was IFC.
Was that an IFC original, though?
I think it was split between IFC and UK, like Channel 1 maybe. Or one
Yeah, I
of those.
think they kind of was like concurrent of one another. So like different distros.
Marc Maron's first episode was in 2009. So
Yeah, he was really early.
I can't think of a podcast that, like, when was Joe Rogan's first podcast episode?
After that.
Yeah, and I just wasn't as cognizant of podcasts in general. And I'm sure there was some like fucking no-name schmucks who had podcasts too that went nowhere.
And this is not to say anything about politics, but I will take
Joe Rogan was also 2009.
I still listen to Maron every week if there's somebody on there I find interesting. I don't think I've listened to any Rogan episode that didn't have Doug Stanhope on it in 10 years.
I listened to Rogan the other day. He just had Billy Corgan on. I listened to that one.
Those are two people I don't want to hear talking at all in any capacity.
Well, Joe, you hate so many people. So you're
Look, I've always said I like when Joe Rogan talks to comics because I love when two comics talk to each other.
But you always say his Zoe Deschanel episode is your favorite.
She's so quirky. But I don't want to hear anything Billy Corgan ever says ever that's not about wrestling. And even then,
I disagree. But with that in mind, before we get into like a wild tangent about podcasting, because this is not about Marc Maron's podcast, this is about his show.
This podcast is focused on his show.
Sure. Yeah, of course. Nick's watched the whole thing front to back. First time for me. Where did you guys all stand with this one?
Never seen it.
watched all of it.
Gordo, do you know who Marc Maron was before this?
No.
Even when we kept comparing you to him, you didn't like curiosity Google?
I mean, okay, so I Googled him, and yeah, he's a podcaster, but I never watched him, never listened to him. Don't even know what he did before that.
He's a comedian by trade, and then
he's not
also,
funny.
like,
I think he's very funny.
How would you know if you've never seen him?
I watched this show.
all right, interesting take though, having never heard his comedy.
Right, like he's a comedian. You've never seen his or heard his comedy.
Also-
You said he's not funny. Come on,
He's
man.
not. Shouldn't his sitcom be funny?
No, because John Mulaney's funny and his sitcom sucked.
It's
That's
hold
true.
on.
He's
First
not
off,
funny
I mean,
either.
We'll get into it as we go along. This is not like canned laughter type of comedy, you know.
No, it's very real.
Marc Maron, I feel like, despite this show, I think really he opened up most people's eyes to his acting abilities on Glow.
Yeah, and I think that's like really it too. I haven't really. I should have IMDb'd him before this, but I don't think he has like a ton of acting credits.
Oh, he's in a ton of big stuff. He's in Joker. I mean, that was a huge movie.
I don't watch that garbage.
Joker?
Yeah, it's like I didn't say I liked it. It was a huge movie though.
I hate Batman as much as you. Joker's a great movie.
I watched Joker. Here's the thing. I enjoyed Joker. I did not like the fucking cult of personality that followed after Joker, and it made me dislike the movie a little bit.
That's you. You have issues with just how the world perceives things. Like,
I'm at the stairs where Joker was, and now I'm crying. Like, fuck you, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, but Joe, what if you could go to the heavy metal parking lot? Yeah, you'd take a picture there, wouldn't you?
Fuck. we talked about before, I have a piece of stone from the Dallas parking lot that was the world-class wrestling sportatorium. So I understand. Yeah, you're fair.
Joe, you know what I think would make you a happier human being?
Please tell me. My therapist has not.
Watch a movie, listen to an album, whatever it is, and form opinion without thinking about what other people might think of it. And if people that you don't like happen to like the same thing as you sometimes, that's all right.
I'm totally fine with that. I just think that people
I don't think you are.
Like, if I was the Joker, I'd shoot people in the face too. It's not a good fucking thing.
I mean, I'm kind of with you. It's like the Harley Quinn type things.
Who
too.
said that?
Dude, just look up fucking the Joker stares on Instagram and then you're going to want to blow your brains out. It's fucking bananas.
People take pictures in front of it or do the dance. They don't fucking... I would shoot people too.
Yeah.
That's a lot of it, man.
I can also say, like, and I'm sure most of you, if you guys have, I know Ferg, I've run up the Rocky stairs. I'm not under the impression that I'm a boxer as a result of it, you know, but sometimes there's historical.
No, but
things
what I
from
think
cinema
Joe's saying is that movie really appealed to a very specific type of person.
No, it didn't. It was a giant blockbuster, which means it appealed to a bunch of...
He made $1 million
but...
and didn't play in China. I'm sorry, $1 billion. You know how hard it is to make $1 billion when you don't air in China?
I understand what you're saying. I get that it was a popular movie. What I'm saying is that there's a large part of the demographic. I don't know how to word
Nick,
this.
I'm right there with you. I enjoyed the movie. It was a huge movie, but it did a weird thing to activate a very certain specific type of person. And those people who got activated are fucking insufferable.
I disagree. It's been compared to Taxi Driver. It's like a Scorsese movie.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal movie. And I'm sure most of this is going to get cut because it's a very long tangent about a movie.
Leave it in.
Wait, time out though. So Marc Maron was in that movie?
Yeah, he's the
Joker.
He's the press agent. He plays Joker. Gordo, how did you not know who he was? He's the Joker.
My cat keeps shitting everywhere. I must destroy the city.
We have a good amount to cover in this show, I think. It's weird. This show is
it's not really.
It's a lot of dialogue.
It's fast paced though.
It is fast paced. But again though, somebody who's known for talking, I appreciate a lot of dialogue in their sitcom.
Like it mysteriously starts super fast. I'm like, wait, did I miss the beginning?
So I want to start right off at the top because I don't I don't want to go an hour into the podcast before we talk about the episode.
Did you tell anybody about the IMDb numbers? Does this have anything on IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes?
All right, so yes. So IMDb 7.7, Rotten Tomatoes 75%, 82% audience.
That feels right to me.
It is a pretty liked show amongst those who've seen it. Also, don't forget www.s1e1pod.com is where you can find all our shit. Go over there, buy a shirt, follow us, follow our socials.
Buy our cat shit everywhere shirt.
We do need some new shirts though. It's been a while. I keep making joke shirts, but we haven't done a new one in a bit. We should work on that.
Yeah, and when you say we,
hey, I come up with the ideas. You're the design guy, okay? You don't want my... I made a Horny Frank shirt once and sent you the logo, and you didn't like it, so I don't know what you want from me.
Sure, I remember that.
All right, so to talk about this episode of television that we're trying to cover, first we see Marc Maron, again, playing a fictionalized version of himself, and he's, like, sitting down, and it appears he's talking to his therapist. He starts talking about how, you know, there's a voice in his head that's saying you're just going to screw it up, and, you know, that voice gets louder and louder, and then... You know, he said a few years ago, I was planning on killing myself in my garage, and now I'm doing the best thing I've ever done in my life in that same garage. It's a podcast. And then he goes on to say, you know, I've been on Conan O'Brien 47 times. You even know who I am? And you hear the voice of the person he's talking to saying, is it important that people know who you are? Now, these are all clips. There's a lot of, I mean, the way it's stylized, it's made to look like he's rambling on and on and on and on, and we're just catching like highlights of it, like it's being chopped because it's all like cuts from the same segment of him talking. He then says, hey, did I tell you about the dream I had? It was you and I in the jungle. We're surrounded by animals, and they were all like studying us having sex. And that's when the camera turns around and we figure out that it's not a therapist that he's talking to. It's his cat's vet.
I feel like I've only ever talked to veterinarians in like the worst of times. Like as also a cat person, like if you have a cat who doesn't have any chaos, they just live and then they die. It's like 10 years or 15 years or whatever. So the idea, like, every time I see a vet, they're just like, I'm very sorry your cat died. I would never imagine being like, so I was thinking about us fucking the other day. Like, that's such a weird thing.
My cat, the vet actually has to come to our house because the cat cannot be taken outside of the house.
What does that cost?
A lot of fucking money. Because the guy comes in like full chainmail, like he's in a like medieval crusade, but it's him and another person, but she can't physically leave the house unless it's an emergency because she does not like it. She's very old.
It's a fucking cat. You can't just put it in a carrier and take her.
You're talking to Gordo, the person who doesn't use his stove anymore because he lets his cat shit all over it all the time.
She doesn't shit on it, first of all. That's disgusting. She uses a litter box. She sleeps on it. She sleeps on the stove, occasionally yaks on it.
This lasagna smells funny.
So everybody's going to get some eggs at Gordo's house later, right? That's the plan?
Do cats make eggs?
No, but you will on the stove with cat yak on it, so...
How does yak make eggs?
It goes on top of the stove where it sleeps, and you're... How do you not understand where I'm going with this, man?
No, I
He's
don't.
saying you're gonna cook eggs on the same stove your cat shits and pukes on.
Eggs? What am I, a fucking millionaire? No. We don't cook eggs in this house.
We were gonna buy food, but we decided to have the vet come over instead.
How much is a carton of eggs nowadays? Dude, it's crazy. It's $14. How much does a chainmail vet cost? $4,000. Everyone's going hungry.
We have to do it this way. The cat doesn't like it.
I like the idea that his vet is Scott Steiner.
Right?
I like to think that he calls Gordo and he's like, I can come over as long as there's no moat. He's like, no, the moat's gone. You guys are fine.
I do like this reveal that it was the vet. It's legit, like I didn't expect it. So
yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah, it's a fun reveal.
I also like how she's very like uncomfortable and sick of it because this is obviously a common occurrence for him to just go to the vet too often for. I mean, it sounds like his cat needs it this time, but it sounds like he brings his cats when they don't need it also, just to get them a checkup for some reason.
To hit on this woman.
You know, your cats do need rabies shots and shit.
Not really if they're indoor cats.
No, they still need blood work. They still need to be looked at.
I've had cats literally my entire life for 40 years. And
yeah,
and they're indoor cats, unless something happens crazy, you get the shots at the beginning and then they're pretty much fine.
Yeah. It's always like something happened, so we took them to the vet. Other than that, it's just they live, then they die. Gordo,
your weird fucking King Arthur veterinarian is fleecing you for a lot of money, is basically what I'm trying to tell you right now.
Gordo's like, so wait, it's not normal to have bi-weekly veterinary appointments?
And he must only eat at said round table.
Does he make you pay him in Target gift cards?
He has to joust him for it.
No.
Dr. Merlin is not a bad doctor, okay, guys? He's totally fine.
To get back into this, turns out that the cat only had like a stomach virus, so it was like nothing too serious. So, it's like, oh, things should, go well. I'll give some medicine. He's like, all right, so I'll bring him back in a few days. It's like, no. What? Well, why? It's like, it's not really necessary. He's like, well, like not even like just check in. Like, no, unless like something comes back. All right, so if the symptoms I can come back. Well, yeah, if there's symptoms, he's like, all right, well, I'll just take my other cat in. Like, is there a problem with the other cat? I don't know. She seems unhappy. So it's like he has this, obviously he's saying that he had a sex dream about this girl. So I guess he's just looking for reasons to be around this vet.
It's tough too, because putting a cat in a carrier, not the easiest thing to do.
Now you know why we get the chainmail vet to come over.
For a certain price, I'll figure out how to get it in the carrier.
Yeah, I put a hoodie on and I put him in the fucking carrier and deal with like the 2 scratches.
How about you buy yourself some chainmail so you can grab the cat and put her in the thing?
I would love to
Gordo
buy
only
chainmail.
rents chainmail.
Get in here, I'm going to give you a back body drop.
And I'll give you a suplex.
I would love to have chainmail. My wife would not enjoy that.
Gordo, you were in a medieval themed band for a while.
I was.
Picture he goes out the chainmail and in a storm gets struck by lightning.
Nick, that looks like the urn that vet sells you. He's like, so if your cat dies, we'll cremate them and put them in
That's very cool.
It's a little ice chest.
Oh,
Oh,
Keep my
neat.
weed in here.
I was gonna say you could fit one beer in there, but a lot of weed.
Yeah, no, it's like for actual ice to scoop out. Like there's not much room in here.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Hey, explain it for our people just listening.
I was gonna say like the
Oh,
audio.
yeah.
The face of a suit of armor.
Yeah, it's like that suit of like a medieval helmet, but it's the lid pops open to be an ice chest, and it
Very
kind of
cool.
stinks inside.
So we cut to Mark at the front desk now that he's about to head out, and he's talking to the girl who's like handling the bill or whatever. It's like, so does the doctor have any pets? She's like, yeah, she has a cat and 2 dogs. Does she have a husband? Yes, she has a husband. He's like, how's that working out?
He's so socially awkward.
That's also like the fucking most insane thing to say. Like liking somebody who's in a relationship, being like, is it going poorly? Like you're just gonna swoop in when they're at their worst.
And this is the first time that he like gives a look to his phone and sees a mean tweet from the Dragon Master, who's saying that he's not funny on Twitter.
As as podcasters, I feel like you get bad reviews. You get people who don't like your stuff sometimes.
Yeah, it's impossible to please everybody. Yeah. I mean, it's just you can't. Nor should you like thrive to. You got to just kind of do your thing, right? And you find your audience.
As somebody who's played in bands for a very long time, some of the reviews I've gotten have been downright hurtful about certain things that I've done. And you just got to move on, man.
This is kind of, it's funny because he's pretty self-deprecating at all times. But one thing he seems to stand his ground on is he knows he's funny. He's like, hey, this guy can say anything he wants about me, but I know I'm funny.
I love that though, because if you're gonna be a comic, right, like you have to know you have a voice and you have to know you're funny. Otherwise, or at least believe you do, right? Because otherwise, why would you do it? If you think you're bad at it and you're not trying to get better.
Yeah, if you don't have any confidence on stage, you're doomed.
Also, at this point in Marc Maron's career, he's already pretty successful.
Yeah, like he told the doctor he's been on Conan countless
47 times.
And he has a house in Southern California. Like, it's just, it is weird though, because like he has been like exposed in a lot of ways, like on Conan and shit like that. But he is also easy to miss, which is weird. I don't really understand how you fit in that kind of type.
I think as long as you're constantly working, you know what I mean? And then obviously at this point, I mean, not to get back into it again, but like his podcast legitimately is probably his main source of income at this point because it's been around so long and has so many listeners. And so his sponsors and ads are probably pretty high for him.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the guy's always working.
If you think of in our lifetime too, though, like there was that giant comedy boom of the late 80s, mid to late 80s with like Kinnison and Dice Clay. And he was part of that. He was like part of their crew. He was at the Comedy Store. But the 90s were really like a dead zone for comedy, and it's sort of like rising back up, and now it's huge again.
Yeah.
So I feel like generationally, weirdly, people like you can be a comic forever and people will not know who you are, but like some people will be super into you and you can make a good living doing it as long as you always do it, but you're never going to be like at the top of the public conscious until you're like headlining Madison Square Garden covered in Coke.
So the show, we get to the intro of the show from here pretty quick. Nothing much. We see a couple like shots basically of his podcast setup, and then it just like ends in him opening up his garage door because he records his podcast from the garage.
Got a very catchy guitar riff.
Yeah, you get the light in. Well, that's a song that's called Poisoned Well by Four on the Floor. That's a theme song.
Maron, also a musician and a great guitar player and really likes music.
I actually forget that about him. Like I knew that, but it's one of those things that I forget about.
They use a lot of music throughout the series too. Like a friend of mine, one of his songs is actually in this, who has a great podcast too called Listening to Fletcher C. Johnson. But one of his songs is in this. I think the label is White Iris, but there's like a soundtrack LP of all the songs that were in the episodes for the first season. Yeah,
so it's a short theme, but it's fine for what it is. Things like this is not a classic sitcom, you know what I mean? Like I'm not expecting anything too long with like a jingle. So I think this like captures the right attitude and shows you what you need to see.
I will say though, as somebody who's put up 1 million garage doors in their day, I always get a little gun shy when I see one of those garage doors go up because those are like, they don't make those anymore. Those kind of just like open up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like you could do by hand. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's like a very old school way of doing it. Like if someone was like, try to fix that, I'd be like, I have no idea how to even operate this thing.
The next scene, we see Mark and he's recording his podcast. And this was like, I noticed it here. And I don't know how much was like line for line scripted or if he riffed, because obviously the guy's been podcasting so long. He's very natural in his ability to just sit there and talk on the mic. He probably had a premise that he was working with. But I'll say this, not just about this scene, but about the show, because I don't know when's the best time to say it. But, we brought up Seinfeld, Mulaney. There's all these other shows where people play fictionalized versions of themselves. I'll say Marc Maron is someone who doesn't even really give himself much credit as being an actor, although he's doing more stuff as of late. Plays himself so naturally that it doesn't come off like this almost feels documentary-like because of how effortless he can play himself without it seeming like a caricature.
It's slightly embellished. It's not exactly like him, but the point still stands. Like it's got to be hard to do regardless.
Especially like here though, where you hear him like recording his podcast, and as someone who listens to his podcast, like if you took that snippet out, I'd be like, oh, what episode's that from? You know what I mean? If you just played me the audio, so
right.
Yeah, him going down like a self-deprecating hole, you're just like, that could be any episode of his. Like, you'd never question it.
They also give you like the podcast audio through this too. Like this isn't like through the film. You know what I mean? Like it's how it would sound as the podcast, which I enjoyed too.
This rant, and now I don't know if this is how every episode goes, but it's like basically you're using the podcast as a vehicle to give you the premise of the episode, or at least a story point that's coming up. And that's what they're doing here, at least, because he's talking about how he's been obsessing over this idea of running into his ex-wife. And he hasn't even seen her in years, but because they live in the same town, like, obviously the odds of that happening one day are high. But like, he's just been like always stewing on the idea of it, which means that like part of him acknowledges I must still be like obsessed with this woman to some degree if I'm thinking about it all the time. He's like, but that might pass at one point. He's saying, furthermore, he's very self-aware, and that he's like, I know one thing is like, if this were to happen, I'd probably be pretty sad about it, but the way that it would publicly come off is just anger. And then we kind of get into like a situation soon thereafter where this comes to life. So I felt like in the moment that there was probably a reason that this was a very specific thing he was talking about. I didn't know like how the show is stylized. So obviously this is like the way to show it.
I feel like this is relatable too, though, right? Like, I don't know, if you think of anybody you used to date, right? Like, I feel like most people have a fear of running into them, but it's not because you're obsessed with them. You're just like, I don't want that conversation. That's gonna be fucking weird, man.
I found this to like super hit close to home. Especially when if you're in a certain area specifically that like someone you used to be with lives in, there's always that kind of like I hope I don't run into her at the 7-Eleven or whatever, like while I'm in this area. Like it's just gonna be so weird.
And even if it's not like bad, it's just a weird, like, do you want to be like, so what are you up to now? Like, that's a situation you're just like crawling out of your skin. Like,
especially in this case, like, I mean, we all have exes, but like he's talking about an ex-wife, so that's like a whole other level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's another beast.
I think I was telling you guys when I saw you last weekend that like I signed up for a new Substack, which is like a new platform people use for writing. And so I signed up for this new thing, and some people I'm friends with like write on it, and I was like, cool. And you go through any new app, right? And it's like, do you want to track your location? You're like, no. Do you want to track your contacts? I'm like, no. Then it's like, okay, cool. We didn't track your contacts. We found 2 people we think you're friends with, so we followed them for you immediately. And one is like a person I'm currently friends with, no issue. And the other is a girl I dated 20 years ago. And I've never hit like unfollow so fast in my fucking life. And then prayed, didn't get a notification that was like, I haven't talked to him in 20 years and he's following me on Substack. And that sounds so fucking weird. That bothered me for like 3 days. I was like, oh, I fucking didn't see that. I fucking didn't see that.
I told you this the other day. I think following and then unfollowing is way more awkward.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I know. We were talking about it the other day, and I was like, but I couldn't not just be like...
not to make you stew on it again, but it's almost like... That almost looks more like you were creeping her page and then accidentally hit follow and then had to unfollow, not like consciously followed and unfollowed.
All I can pray for is that it didn't create a notification because it was so quick, but I know it did. I know it's so fucking weird now.
You need to live with it and leave it there, because what some people would do in that situation is then follow up with the message and be like, hey, so this is what happened, which is even weirder to explain it. So you can't do that.
That's fucking weird. Yeah, I couldn't do that. I forgot to mention too, the one step before that was like create a profile picture, and like you just scroll through your phones and you're like, just an app. And the picture I just happened to pick was like
a picture of the two of you from years ago, obviously.
Yeah,
so it's like Joe is following you with like a 20-year-old photo of the two of you hugging. Like, oh my god,
like half green hair. It looks so cool and thin.
So wait, this app automatically follows people without like asking.
Yeah, so
you?
if you click, I don't want you to get my contacts, for some reason, because everything's so interconnected, it just assumes and it does. I mean, the fucking algorithm works, right? It knows some people. So it was like a friend of mine and her and her. It was fucking weird. But the picture, post that first, you just scroll through on a picture of you, whatever, and it just happened to be a picture of me and my wife where I'm like drinking a beer, smiling, we're like our heads are together. And I was like, that feels even worse to like your ex-girlfriend's fucking thing and unfollow it, and the photo is you and her girl being like, I'm doing okay now, look, I had a girl. It was so fucking awful. I have lost sleep over this for like 2 fucking
in case you were wondering.
I am in crisis. My therapist this week graduated me. I don't think she's right. She was like, I don't think we have to talk anymore. I was like, I don't think you know what you're talking about.
I think she graduated, Joe.
She was just done with me. She was like, you can call in someday and find someone else.
You're not good for my mental health.
You're just gonna have to go talk to your vet instead.
See, now you wish that you had chainmail.
Chink, chink, chink. How's it feel?
To talk about the show sporadically throughout this episode, we cut back to Mark. It's like from earlier on now again, like post the podcast thing, it goes back to like a continuation from the first scene. So now we see him like in his car with his cat after that vet visit. And apparently while driving, the cat shit inside of the carrier.
As they are wont to do.
But to the point where like you can't just go home, you need to like handle the situation immediately.
That's a little weird, right? Like I would just go home.
Like I know we're setting up a scene, but like this is apparently the reason he has to like get out and doesn't go home. So he runs to a cafe to try to use the restroom there. And like, well, I don't know what he was going to do, like clean out the carrier in the cafe bathroom. Like, I don't, but he needs to use the restroom because of this situation.
Yeah, like you need a hose.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You're not going into a store and like wiping it with napkins. Like, come on.
But you know, not really believable when you think about it, but sure, this is where we are right now in the episode. The guy who works at the cafe, very reluctant at first, but it stunk so bad that he was like, you know what, fine, just use the bathroom.
Because he thought he did it.
No, not after. I mean, at first he did.
But even then, I will say though, point against Mark here, how many times in my life I had to pee and gone to like a Starbucks or a coffee shop and been like, can I use the bathroom? Like, whatever. Like, okay, can I get a small coffee?
Right. Yeah, because this is one of those, it's for customers only. And at these places,
right, like you just don't fight it. You just buy the $2 coffee and you just go.
Get something, yeah. There's probably a cookie on like the counter or something you could buy. And as he's heading to the bathroom now with his cat, you just hear Mark. It's a woman's voice, and he turns around and it's what we come to find out is his ex-wife. He goes, "Oh hey, it's you and the guy who stole you from me." Like, okay, grow up. It's been years.
That's tough. He's really holding on to something there.
After 4 years, you gotta kind of move on.
Well, you can't address it like that, even if, you know what I mean? Especially like,
yeah.
Now, I don't know enough backstory, but unless this guy was like she was cheating on you with him, like you can't hold resentment towards the guy. And it doesn't, at least to what we know right now, I don't think there's any evidence that that's why they're not together anymore.
That's like worst case scenario too. Like she's there with her new man, they're happy. He's there with his shit covered cat. Like,
right.
And she's pregnant.
Oh, that too.
And the fact that he sees that she's pregnant, he's like, "Oh, that's your move? Oh yeah. So now you're having a baby at me?"
A spite baby. A spite baby is the fucking funniest expression ever.
That's your move got me. Oh my god. He's just so like, I mean, obviously this is just like him being way too, what's the word I'm looking for?
Vindictive?
Not vindictive. It's a very common word that I just can't think of right now, where you only think about yourself.
Self-centered?
Yeah, not self-centered. Yeah, I guess self-centered or
main character syndrome.
Yeah, like he genuinely thinks that this baby was created to spite him, which is insane.
Specifically to spite him. This kid will go to college saying, fuck Marc Maron.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I got to go bring Boomer to the bathroom. You remember Boomer, you left him too.
That's one of my favorite lines of the entire fucking episode. You left him too. This fucking poor cat is getting thrown into this now.
And this other guy, her new like husband, he's trying to be like, hey, I'm Jerry, by the way. We haven't met, but I've heard a lot about you. And he's
Anybody
like,
track who he is, by the way? I knew right away.
I didn't look it up, and nothing.
I didn't
hit me
even
at the
look.
moment.
You know in The Mummy with Brendan Fraser, where there's like the other guys who were like on the boat with them, whatever, and, like the mummy comes and steals the one guy's eyes and tongue, and he's like, woo! That's the guy who gets his eyes and tongue stolen.
The Americans.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call your therapist. You're not ready. When he introduces himself and says like, oh, I've heard a lot about you. He's like, yeah, well, I've read a lot about you. He's just like Googling this guy. He says, I learned a lot about you because I Googled who's my ex-wife banging. It's like Harvard, money, better husband. Yeah, it was like Googling cancer when you think you have it.
We've all done that. Gordo today, literally the entire day, was like, I've got diabetes.
But, when you get a test that says you have diabetes, you tend to think that you have
Yeah,
diabetes.
but you know what helps? When you read the entire test and not just the top.
Gordo's just chugging orange juice, being like, I need to get my insulin up.
It said patient not known to have diabetes. This is strange. I would freak out. You have all freaked out for lesser.
Did it say this is strange? I would freak out on the medical forum. I wasn't sure.
It did. It said, I'm not going to read my medical report, but it did. It's in the group chat. I sent it to you guys.
Yes, but I'll say this, even like without, obviously for anyone listening, it's a little inside baseball, but outside of what you found out later, you also told us, I wonder if it's because I was crushing Burger King before I went to my doctor's appointment. So
For
like,
someone without known diabetes, a glucose value indicates they may have diabetes. This should be confirmed with the follow-up test.
There should be a checkbox. Did I just eat 17 chicken fries right after that? If you
was
click
4.
the yes box,
It was
then you
4.
were okay.
And it was a Whopper Jr. and a large Coke.
Oh, the Coke.
Oh, back to the Coke, Gordo.
Was it a Coke Zero? I don't think it was. I think it was a regular Coke. I only give myself one Coke Zero for dinner every day. No, I'm slugging
week,
live
and it's
Coke
very
before I go to the fucking doctor's appointment.
This is
guys,
not
I
a
want
fight all
anyone
day.
listening to know that there's a subscript, like, behind the scenes, Nick gets on Gordo for his soda intake.
He drinks a lot of soda. I'm trying to look out for him.
For two things. One, oddly, it's a hot button for Nick. Second, it's something that really pisses Gordo off when he's questioned about his soda intake. So it's funny on twofold for the rest of us.
Yeah, we just like sit back and watch. It's
I
amazing.
don't understand.
No, okay, but you have to understand this too, though. Like, so, like, I see Gordo on the podcast, like, and we go late sometimes, and I see him drinking Coca-Cola at like 10 o'clock at night.
What does
and
that
I'm just
matter?
like, dude. But you also constantly complain. You're constantly complaining about, oh, I'm gaining weight. I can't sleep. And I'm like trying to tell you that fucking 11 p.m. Coca-Cola is probably part of the problem. And now you got high glucose levels. And I'm trying to say, maybe it's the fucking 11 p.m. Coca-Cola. And you're like, stop talking about the Coca-Cola. I'm trying to save your goddamn life, you asshole.
You are not trying to save my life.
This is like the greatest couples fight of all time.
What's this? Hold on.
Oh, yeah, tap your cup, because I know the fuck that means.
This is a Coca-Cola in a Stanley Cup.
Is it really?
No,
He's
it's
like,
not.
what's this? As he chugs one. Fuck
It's
you
a
know.
water, actually, but not sponsored by Stanley, but I got a Stanley.
Thanks for doing ASMR for our audience.
Good, I'm glad it's water.
So
It's a limited edition, too.
as Mark and Jerry are having like a little bit of a verbal thing, Mark's basically blaming his ex or accusing her of like getting pregnant by this dude who's doing well is more like as a security blanket now for the next 18 years. This like elevates the conversation a little bit. It eventually turns into Mark. I mean, I would do the same thing Jerry did in this moment. He's like, they're about to split up. He's like, yeah, he's like, I'll let you go. But Jerry, before that, I just want you to know I had her when she was perfect. And he
Man,
shuts
that's a
him like,
fucking line.
I would fucking kick this dude's head off if he
Yep.
said something
I
to me
would
like that.
beat the living shit out of him.
Oh, your wife? I had her when she was younger and hotter. All right, well, you're about to fucking die. All right.
Oh man.
And then when he gets shoved, by the way, just the way he reacts, he's like, hey, what the hell, man? He's like,
He was automatically the victim.
yeah, I got a sick
cat here. What kind of a guy does that? So fucking
And then he gets
funny.
kicked out by the coffee shop and playing. He's like, "What, me?"
Yeah. He's like, she should leave. She's great at leaving.
Man, what a fucking scene. This is a mwah scene. This whole thing is fucking perfect.
And then, I think what I hated about it again was I feel this is slightly relatable.
Yeah, I mean, anybody could get triggered like that. It's just your ability, your self-control in a situation like
He's
that.
acting out in a way that, internally, you kind of want to be able to. But yeah, he's actually doing it.
Also, keep in mind, he just said on the podcast that since they broke up, they live in the same area. He's never run into her. So there's a lot of pent-up stuff from years that he hasn't gotten out.
Because you think, there's a part of your brain that's like, what if we did? You know what I mean? What would that be like?
Yeah, he didn't get that closure. Even a good fight helps.
Yeah.
I think all of us want to hope that if we ever run into a ex, they're with somebody who's just worse than us. That's
Yeah.
not somebody who was
That's the
Brendan
dream.
Fraser's equal in The Mummy. That's a tough pill to swallow.
I don't know. I feel like there is a time limit though on that. 4 years seems to
There's a
be
lot of
long.
factors that are involved. I think a lot of things have to be involved. What was the
Yeah.
nature of your breakup? Where are you at in life? Yeah.
You've been apart for 4 years, but have you really been apart for 4 years? Shit. Yeah, but
It's like, oh, he's really handsome. Fuck. He was a vet. Oh, fuck. But he got his dick blown off in the war. Oh, okay. Well, I feel better about this now.
Oh, shit, this guy fought Emotep. What am I supposed to do?
Now he's driving home and he's talking to his cat who's in the back. Maybe I didn't handle that very well. And then he starts to look at his phone and he's getting more mean tweets from this Dragon Master guy. I would say don't quit your day job, but you don't have one and it's too late to get one.
I love how this guy is just shit talking him all day long.
My problem with this episode, though, is fuck Daryl. Is that his name Daryl?
The Dragon Master guy?
Dragon Master? Yeah. It's I'd say quit your day job, you don't have one. He's been on Conan 47 times, and you're in the back of a comic store playing Dungeons and Dragons. You have no fucking right to throw shade, man.
yeah.
That's the thing about trolls. Yeah, he's bashing them
Ferg
nonstop.
speaking from just what he hears.
Yeah.
Yeah, just from just what I heard.
No experience necessary here.
As a representative of the community,
He may bash him, but he's also supporting him because clearly he's listening to the podcast. He's hate listening to his podcast. So despite
That's true.
hating him, he's
Yeah.
his number one fan because he's patronizing him.
That's crazy, too, because these are long form podcasts. Each one's an hour to an hour and a half, and there's 2 a week. So that means you hate somebody so much, you will give 3 hours a week to them.
To that effect, if anybody out there is hate listening to us, please reach out. You can talk shit, that's fine, but I'd be genuinely curious to know if anybody hate listens to us.
it would be interesting to think you've lasted this long.
It's 200 and something episodes, right?
Fucking Gordo, he's not even a real person.
I'm AI.
They do a sitcom show and they don't even talk about the show.
Yeah.
Who the
No.
fuck is King Arthur the vet?
Doodles aren't babies. Oh, that's okay. That one's fair.
And then the next scene where now Mark's home and you just see him on the side of his house and he's hosing off the pet carrier. When he goes to bring it around to the back of his house, we see that Dave Foley's just sitting drinking in his yard.
Dave Foley he's got the Uncle Eddie thing too, where he's got 3 beers just hanging from a 6-pack holder, which is my favorite thing of all time.
So I didn't realize Dave Foley was playing himself until the second to last scene he's in.
Oh, really?
At
really?
When he's at the comic book store later and they ask him to do Kids in the Hall stuff, I go, oh my God, he's playing himself.
So, and then, yes, and he's also it's a little bit more of a fictionalized version. I don't think he's this kind of
Alcoholic?
drunk. Yeah, I don't think that's...
He's
that's,
not. Yeah.
yeah.
Also, Dave Foley's Maron episode is we've talked about it on here before, actually, about the weird California law where he had to pay way more in alimony than he could afford because his history of making money versus...
Oh, right.
Oh,
yeah.
right,
A
yeah.
long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dave Foley, obviously, best known for Kids in the Hall, but he's done so much shit.
News radio. He's in that crazy U-Vol movie, Postal, where he just hangs dong at the beginning, right after they do a cabin shot of the terrorists crashing into the Twin Towers. It's like one of the fucking craziest movies of all time.
As I say that too, thinking back, is he to the masses? Is he actually better known for news radio?
I think generationally,
50-50.
maybe.
I think Kids in the Hall is more iconic for what it did. You know what I mean? But like, news radio is a very big show, like across the country, like for a while.
Honestly, it didn't even click that he was in news radio.
Come on, guys. He's most known for his role as Chris in It's Pat.
The two brake pedal things.
It's Pat is a movie that I used to rent from the library. When you could rent movies from the library. I mean, you still can, but I just haven't walked in a library in probably an embarrassingly long amount of time. But
we go weekly and rent movies still.
Do you?
Yeah.
That sounds right.
I was going to say I'm in no way surprised.
I mean, like, no, for books, I'm a weirdo. I like to own books, so I buy books. But like for my daughter, we go to my wife takes her to the library every week. They have like a kids thing. Then she brings home a bunch of books and we read those for bedtime. But like for movies for kids, like I'm not going to buy Aladdin. Like,
why?
Because how many times am I going to watch Aladdin?
Joe, I want to go through all of your purchases on on your cable box, like every movie and TV show that you've paid for.
Oh, I'll never watch Aladdin again. Who the fuck says that?
Me, because I'm going to watch it once with her now. And if she ever wants to watch it again 5 years from now, I'll rent it again at the library
Joe,
for free.
I know I'm speaking as a non-parent, but you're about to learn real soon that you're going to watch things 50 times in a row.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look, we're already at that point now where like I could recite to you so many books and movies. We did the Elmo song for a very long time this evening.
Wow.
It's funny, you brought up Billy Corgan earlier. I distinctly remember also renting like Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness from the library because you could get CDs and stuff too back then.
Was that a double CD too?
Yeah.
Speaking of CDs, have you guys CDs nuts?
The second you said speaking of CDs, I was like, I'm just gonna stop my fucking recording right now. I'm done.
You know what it is too? It's like he's already laughing before he gets to the punchline, like every other time he tells a joke. So
that was funny.
I think Gordon, honestly, I think there's a world where the joke could be funny, but you are at the disadvantage now where if you're telling a joke, we know that's the punchline. So there's no like shock of like, oh shit. Like if someone else came up with it, did one of them but you've pigeonholed yourself.
True. Okay.
When Mark sees Dave in his backyard, he's like, what are you doing here? And basically the way it's like explained is that Dave's drunk and mixed up the days that he was supposed to record. Like he no-showed when he was supposed to actually record the podcast with him. And now he's just here like a week later randomly. So he's like, oh, all right, well, bye then. And when he goes to leave, he's like, no. You're like, basically like, you're too drunk. Just come inside for a while. Like, all right.
Good for Dave Foley too for being like, I'll just play like a weird drunk version of myself for the next half an hour.
It's going to be weird in those cases, right? Like, like you want to like have fun with it, but you're still playing yourself and it's people, not everyone like gets it. You know what I mean? Some people go, oh, that must be how he is because he's playing himself.
And that's why I didn't realize he was playing himself. I thought I don't know. I thought Maron was like, we've watched so many other sitcoms where it's the same name, but everything else is different. It just didn't hit me that everyone else in this world was themselves too.
Like he's Dave Goalie.
The classic not to get ahead, but like this show is stylized in a way where there's always like a guest. You know what I mean? Really?
Yeah.
For the most part. So a lot of people make cameos.
Is he on it all the time?
No,
it changes every episode. I forget. Is it either CM Punk or Cole Cabana. I think CM Punk's on an episode.
They're both on.
Are they both on? Maybe together? Yeah, it's been a while.
I don't know if they're together because I haven't watched it. I was just looking at a list of people who have been on the show, and I did see Chick Magnet Punk's name listed.
Oh, best in the world.
So they go inside now. Mark's making some eggs on the stove,
much like Gordo.
Yep.
He's saying to Dave, like, you don't want a chair? And you just see Dave like laid up on the floor. He's like, no, this is nice. It's cool on my face. And his face is just like right on the hardwood floor there.
Hey, when you're drunk on the floor, that's good.
I was gonna say I'd be lying if I said I haven't done that.
Yeah, this is a very relatable thing. If you've ever been there, you've been there. I think we've mentioned it before. I think one of the funniest story arcs of the Drew Carey show is that Oswald and Lewis buy a house in the middle of a park, and they're doing like the renovations, and they're testing tiles to see what they want for their kitchen floor. And the way they're testing them is putting them over their face and going, "I'll never drink again." And that's how they find the floor tile they think is best. Like, that's a great fucking joke.
Yeah. A little later, they end up in the living room, and now Mark's just like sitting on his laptop, just reading more and more of these mean tweets from Dragon Master or whatever. A lot of them were pretty good. I kind of wonder, like, did Mark himself write some of these tweets? Like, just write the meanest shit you think you could say about yourself.
I assume he had a part in it, yeah.
I assume
Or
so.
are these real tweets that he just
That's what
like
I was
pulled
gonna
from
say.
fans? It's got to be real tweets from fans, or not fans, but detractors.
Marc Maron wasn't funny when he was funny, and that was 20 years ago. Yeah, he's getting into it, and Dave's like, why are you like worrying about this? This is like, it's meaningless.
I think the best part of this too is like when you get what Dave Foley's character is going to be in this, where one of the tweets is, "It's not our fault your parents didn't love you," and Dave Foley's like, "It's just some on the money idiot."
Yeah.
Great line.
The
That was
on the money
one of the
idiot, yeah.
best lines I thought of the whole episode.
There's a few like hard lulls in there, and Dave Foley has a few of them.
Some of them, she was like, well, that one was pretty helpful. Like, he's going through them. So as Mark's going through it, he's saying like, I'm going to figure out who this is. And then you get that like kind of cut to a little bit later on. I don't know how long he's been researching, but eventually he figures it out. And he wakes up Dave, who's been passed out on the couch. He's like, I figured it out, Dragon Master. His name's Daryl. He's 27. He's from Colorado. And then he's talking about like how he he does blogs about like British comedies, into the Nerdist, and then he's into playing Dungeons and Dragons. And he's like got a game coming up soon that he's gonna be playing somewhere nearby. He's like, how long have you been researching this? How long was I asleep? Like, oh, and then like he went through the reverse engineering of how he found him, which is like, internet creeping detective work, like 101. It was a pretty basic approach.
It's a job. It's OSINT. It's open source intelligence, right? Like, you're just tracking a person down by everything they put out there. That's why you got to be very careful about what you put out there.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, it's like we put it out, and then like people don't understand. Like, you ever see those videos of there's like a guy who like you just send like a video, is like, hey, where am I? And like he can figure out like where exactly you are in the world.
Oh yeah.
Based on like he'll see like a shrub and like a half of a sign, and he can like pinpoint your exact location.
Those are cool. I stopped getting those for some reason. I
never followed him, but I was in my algorithm for a little bit, and it really is. It's super eye opening to like what you put out in your digital footprint about how much information you're sending to the world.
Well, didn't a bunch of people do that with Shia LaBeouf?
I'm sorry. What's his name?
Shia LaBeouf?
I was going to make fun of him, but I don't know that guy's name either. I'm always like, is it she?
Shia.
Yeah, it's just LaBeouf. He wasn't that far off, honestly.
He's the guy who they said was so bad in the Indiana Jones movie, they just killed him off screen, right?
No, that wasn't bad because of him. That was a terrible movie.
Oh, I agree, it was a bad movie, but like he wasn't. I didn't see
He
the new
ruined the
one.
Transformers movie.
No, he was in the beginning of it. He didn't ruin anything. It's, if anything, like you either like Michael Bay's movies or you don't.
But didn't he have like a flag or something that like people kept finding, and like they used like, and he had one with like a bird, like it was like in the air and there were just birds and people found it and stole it from him. Like I remember that like way back.
There's some truth to what you're saying. I don't know the full story, but
it was like a bunch of trolls
I've
like
heard
trolling
that.
him. Like I remember that.
This is all just clicking noises to me.
I will say too, before you can only talk about him so much, Peanut Butter Falcon, if you haven't seen that, give that a watch.
Great movie.
Yeah.
What's the plot?
There's basically it's a boy who has Down syndrome who dreams of becoming a professional wrestler, who escapes from the living situation he's in and meets up with Shia's character, and he helps him pursue his dream of becoming a professional wrestler.
Okay.
It's a really good movie.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, I'm not knocking. I just didn't know what it was. Yeah, I will add that to the list.
You're gonna rent it?
You're gonna rent it
The
from the
library has
library.
Again, look, I don't want being knocked for going to the library and supporting the library, which is a very important thing for children.
Your taxes support the library, all right?
So now that he figured out where this guy is, he's like, all right, we're going to go to Orange County and we're going to confront this guy face to face. He's like, I'm tired of these guys attacking me from the dark, hiding behind screen names.
Thank God that's never happened to me.
Yeah, Ferg would be like strung up an effigy in front of his house if anybody he ever fucked with found where he lived.
Dave, he doesn't want to go. He just wants to go home. He's like, I'll get you In-N-Out Burger. He's like, I want a burrito. He's like, deal.
Well played. Get what you want.
I know I'm not the food person on this podcast, but I will say I've had burritos in California and In-N-Out Burger. I would have taken the In-N-Out Burger.
I think In-N-Out Burger is very overrated.
I'm with Jay on that. It's so overrated.
It's great.
And we just made a bunch of enemies.
It's a craving thing. You can want one over the other.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, they're two different things completely, but I would just say in the scope of fast food burgers, In-N-Out gets a lot more credit than I feel deserved. I don't think it's bad.
I love burgers. I love burgers to a fault.
Agreed.
But if I had to pick a fast food chain to come here, and it was between In-N-Out and Del Taco, I would take Del Taco all fucking day.
People do rave about Del Taco. I've never had it.
It's so fucking good. It's unbelievable.
Never ate a Del Taco. I've seen them. I've never ate them.
Find yourself a Del Taco.
I remember seeing them in California, and they gave the appearance of being like cheap and gross. So
they're like it's very similar to like a Taco Bell style, but it's not like I don't know how to explain it. It's like it's not put together so shitty, right? And the ingredients aren't so shitty.
Well, we used to have like Baja Fresh. Baja Fresh was really good.
It's like a step up in both aspects. It's not good for you by any, like it's still gross tacos. Like it's bad for you, but it's just really fucking good.
I couldn't be there and get that, knowing that California is known for tacos. There's a million good places you can get actual tacos.
It's like getting a sub in Boston, right? Like you would never go to Subway in Boston when you can go to like a corner sub shop. Yeah,
right.
Now we see them in the car. He's going on a rant about how he's doing this for all those sexually confused college kids who were jumping off bridges because they were bullied, and that this is a crusade for decency, like basically standing up to these bullies. And Dave's like, "Are you gay?" He's like, "No." He's like, "What? They don't have to do anything." Like, I don't know. It's okay if you're gay. He's like, "Yeah, I'm not gay though."
I do love when he's like, "Boomy, you okay, bud?" He's like, "Well, that's a little gay." It's the funniest line of the entire episode.
And then where are they next? Is that like a gas station or whatever?
It's a car wash.
Yeah, I saw that he was at a car wash, but I didn't know if it was a car wash that was part of like a bigger thing, because I don't know why they would have went to just a car wash.
That's confusing because Maron doesn't strike me as a full serve guy. So like if you were getting gas, you would like, and you walked away, it's because somebody's like pumping the gas in your car, you know?
He walked off to pee.
But he's not pumping the gas. He's like the passenger.
Well, because we see him like walking around. We see Mark walking and finds Dave, and he's just like peeing around like at the back, like where the entrance of this car wash is.
All they had to do would be have the sick cat shit again. And he has to go in to wash the thing. And then he goes and pees over there. And that's your reason for stopping.
Like he throws the cat carrier into the car wash.
Why did we need this scene anyways? What did it do? It was just like, I mean, it wasn't like we needed to find a different way to get there. He was peeing and then they moved on.
This feels like a filler scene they had to add in, but I guess it's to show that Dave Foley is drunk.
Yeah, true.
Because after that, they're just back in the car. And then they get into like the conversation, like, how many cats do you have? Like, oh, I got 3 of my own, and there's a couple that hang around.
As somebody who has a similar thing, although the hang-around cat this is weird. So we had a hang-around cat for a long time, and we assumed she was a stray. She was very sweet. We let her to the house sometimes. She would be pet, she'd eat, she'd leave. Wasn't like, didn't want to live here. And then she started losing weight rapidly. We were like, oh no, like, she's not doing well. My wife took her to the vet, because we assumed she was a stray, to be like, can you check this cat out? Can you like make sure she's okay? And if that's the case, we're going to take her in and like deal with whatever is going on. And she was chipped. She was an outdoor cat. We couldn't keep her. We had to like let her back out. I haven't seen her in months now. I'm assuming not good things. But we had the cat carrier, and she just like puked up a full non-digested animal inside. Because she was a huge cat, right? So she was eating food out in the wild. So like, my wife came home, she was like, I can't do it. You have to go spray this thing out. And I have a pretty solid stomach with that stuff. I was like gagging, almost throwing up, spraying out the like undigested carcass of an animal in my lawn that was in this cat carrier. And my cat carrier, I looked at it the other day while I was snow blowing. I wouldn't even bring it to the house. 6 months later, just look at it, I was like, it's trash now. I will never bring this back into our fucking house.
That's why you don't let strays in your house, Joe.
She's so sweet. One day she came at Thanksgiving and it was like a fucking parade happened where like everybody, because our whole family was there for Thanksgiving. They were like, the kitty wants to come in. And everyone was feeding her. And I was like, this cat is gonna end up living here. But nope, she's good. She's killing stuff. And I think she's still alive.
I don't know. You haven't seen it in a while. It's probably dead.
Oh,
honestly, she stopped coming around when we put her in the carrier. Like she like disliked us from that moment. She was like,
should have called King Arthur.
If we had a Knight of the Round Table come and take her, maybe she'd have been okay. But the problem is too, also the people who she lives with, they're our neighbors, and I'm like, I'd be outside all the time in winter too if I lived there. So I don't know what happened.
This conversation when he's asking him how many cats he has, he tells him how many. He's like, I don't really like that. He's like, I don't really know how I feel about you. He like really jumps down Dave's throat immediately in the cat's defense. And then like it's kind of just that typical cat versus dog. I think Dave said he's more of a dog person.
Me too.
It's like the reverse of the speech from Meet the Parents.
Yeah. But yeah, I get it. I'm personally more of a dog person myself. This is like a forever debate.
Me too.
Yeah, we've talked about this a lot. I love cats. I always stand by it, but I get it.
I just think they're all dicks.
No, they're not. My girlfriend's cat is the sweetest cat in the world. I love her. But I just, my big thing is I never had dogs growing up, but I've had a dog now through my girlfriend for the past few years. And they just like, they inhibit your ability to do things so often.
You can't leave.
And it's just like, what, like, I don't, this doesn't seem really worth it unless you're home like that often. Right? Like if you're somebody who's just home 90% of the time, yeah, get a dog. Like that's what they need. They need the attention. They want to be around people. They don't like being alone. But like if you have like a busy life at all, I don't understand how you can have a dog and like be okay with like leaving it alone for that long. It doesn't seem right.
Why I didn't go to the boy hole.
And cats just like
you weren't invited to the boy hole.
Your dog was though.
Yeah. But cats, they'll fucking go as long as there's food and water out and a place to crap. They're good for like a few days. You know what I mean? Like they're fine.
I will say this: my living room has like a big bay window, right? And when there's a huge snowstorm, I love like sitting up there and watching just the terrible snow that I'll have to clean up the next day. And my cat loves watching it too. And I always pet him and go, "You're not going out in this. I don't have to go out in this and clean your shit up, do I? Nope. Like you're just gonna poop in a box and sleep here looking at the snow, and that's totally fine." I think that's the big thing for me as I get older. It's like I don't want when I'm retired, I would love to have a dog, but I don't want to go out in the fucking whatever the weather is.
Don't worry, your child is gonna get older and want to play in it, so you're not escaping that for much longer.
Oh, I'll never get rid of it, sure, but like at least at that point, I imagine her poop is in a diaper still.
Oh, I don't mean the poop part. I just mean going out into the snow.
Oh, yeah, I'll be stuck in the terrible weather, I'm sure.
Eventually, they get to the location that they're heading to, and they're at the comic book store. And Mark walks in. Dave wants to stay in the car. And the guy at, like, the desk, it was a really awkward exchange.
I will say real quick, though, I love Dave Foley being like, I'll stay in the car with Bammer. Maybe laugh so fucking hard.
Yeah.
This comic book guy seemed very familiar. Have we done other stuff with him?
I'd have to look him up.
Yo, you're like a human IMDb.
I did look him up because he was familiar. He's a cop in Batman Begins, and he's in a few episodes of The Good Place, but that's all I could track him from.
Must have been The Good Place then.
It must be that, yeah. There's some like weird people who have story arcs. Like the kid Daryl who comes up here, he's like in Community a ton. Like there are some people who just like did a lot of sitcoms, but there are a lot of people who were. And also the vet tech, she's in like House of a Thousand Corpses. Like that's where that tracked for me. So there's a lot of like character-y actor stuff in this.
Mark walks in and he's looking for Daryl and he's like, "You a copper?" He's like, "No." He's like, "Why would you ask me that?" Movies.
Movies.
And then he's like, he's supposed to be here like playing Dungeons and Dragons. He's like, "Well, who are you?" He's like, "I'm a friend." He's like, "I don't think so. I know all of Daryl's friends. There's only 5 of us."
Of us.
Did anybody here be like, if someone walked up with like, I'm friends with Ferg? Be like, no, there's only 5 of us. You're not part of this crew.
I like that. He's like, all right, tell him Marc Maron's here. Like, and then he like kind of walks away, but comes back like 30 seconds later. He's like, yeah, he doesn't want to see you. And he's like, screw that. And Mark walks behind the counter.
He goes, don't steal anything before he leaves. And he goes, I'll try not to steal anything.
He heads into the room where the guys are playing Dungeons and Dragons. And I was like, are these even actors? Because this kid seems pretty authentic.
Well cast.
Yeah.
The kid with the ears is in like 2 things ever. We're like, they found a nerd and we're like, want to be a nerd on TV? And they were like, okay. When somebody doesn't have an IMDb picture, you know they are like a real person who got pulled into something.
Now, if you guys had to play Dungeons and Dragons,
I know nothing
what
about
would
Dungeons
be
and
your
Dragons.
character?
I think you've legit asked us this in the
Yeah,
past.
I
know nothing about Dungeons and Dragons.
don't know anything about it.
This isn't me trying to
play it.
sound cool, you know, like I'm very open about all the nerdy shit that I am into, but I know nothing.
I'd be a level 12 rogue.
We should play.
I'd be a level 13 Jubilee.
What would you be, Gordo?
Probably a chicken.
Chick?
A chicken.
You can be any kind of be any kind of powerful sorcerer or Viking, whatever, and you're a chicken?
Yeah, why not?
I'd be a Bigfoot.
For like a lot of reasons, why not?
I mean, I don't think chickens are very high in the quote unquote pecking order.
You know what's
Heyo.
crazy is like Gordo often sets us up with these questions, like if you could blah blah blah, and he never has an answer.
Like, I want notes that are like, I wrote this because X, Y, and Z. Yeah.
No. So you guys don't want to play Dungeons and Dragons or any of that
I
stuff.
do not. Personally.
If you're a chicken, I'm going to be a Colonel Sanders, and you're dead in 5 minutes. I win the game.
Well, I'll be Dungeons and Dragon D's nuts across the board.
You should have said you'd be a dragon, and then that joke would have made sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Ferg actually set you up on that.
Well, chickens are just the evolutionary end of a dragon, which are dinosaurs. So, yeah.
Right now, some evolutionary scientist is throwing his pencil at the computer.
He's the one who hate listens.
He's the one fucking Gordo every fucking week.
This is it.
So Mark walks into the room and he's like, oh, hello, fellas. And the kid Daryl, the Dragon Master's like, wow, this is embarrassing. Yeah, you should be embarrassed. Like, no, I was thinking like embarrassing for you. Like, what are you doing here?
And Daryl's wearing a hat like he's like a Mongol.
Yeah, I don't know.
Helmet?
Yeah, it
Helmet's
looks
better
like
word.
like a samurai hat.
Yeah, I would say if you were going to be like, what's it look for it? The guy who eats all the beef in Bill and Ted.
Genghis Khan?
Thank you. He's like a Genghis Khan type. He has like a Genghis Khan hat on. Ferg, I love you so much for being like, I can't think of this historical reference. Think of Bill and Ted and you know it right away. Oh my God, I love it.
So this kid, by the way, like by appearance, by voice, like he is what you would imagine your internet troll to be when you see him in real life. So yeah, I mean, great casting here.
Ironically, he's what Maron says he's avenging, that type. The people that have been bullied.
Yeah, true. I didn't even think of that. That's a good point.
And like the thing is, like, Maron thinks he's gonna get this great moment out of this, but they're like all just shitting on him for how weird it is that he showed up and like what a loser he is.
He gets humbled.
Yeah, I love these kids just shit on him so hard.
At one point he's like, I just want to know why you keep attacking me. And he's like, because you're not funny. And then the other guy's like, yeah, you suck.
I think the funniest line of the whole episode, though, is when Maron starts trying to fight back. He's like, this kid's got elf ears on. They're even the right color. He's going racist.
That's the best part.
That's the kid, too, who's got like 2 IMDb credits and no picture. We're like, I don't know, man. Keep working. You were very funny in one line at a time.
And like during all this chaos, Dave eventually walks into the room. He's like Bammer crapped in his cage again. And they're like, oh my God, it's Dave Foley. And they're like, all these guys who've been shitting on Marc Maron relentlessly are all giant Dave Foley fans. And they're fucking geeking out after him. And they're talking about Kids in the Hall stuff. And they're like, oh my God, would you do Jocelyn? Like, you were the best. Like, He's like, I don't know. He's like, I could probably remember a little bit. And like, Maron's like, don't perform for these guys. What are you doing?
These
good kids.
Yeah, he's like, they're good kids.
Now, here's a question. We've talked about it twice now. Are you guys more Kids in the Hall or more news radio? I love
Kids
both.
in the Hall
but
for me.
Well, we talked about like how we best know them, but
I watched a lot of Kids in the Hall, but it was so long ago. I would say I've probably not seen a very lot of news radio, if I'm being honest.
I think me at this age, I'd probably rather watch news radio, but I think in my day, I watched more Kids in the Hall.
It was on like right when we got home from school.
Kids in the Hall has a very specific
Always.
kind of humor, and I don't.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it in so long that I don't know if it would hit the same way. Like I'd have to revisit it.
Kids in the Hall definitely has more of a nostalgia hit to it.
There are certain things too. Like if I see a gazebo, I think immediately of Kids in the Hall. But if given the opportunity, I probably watch news radio more.
But yeah, so these kids are like on cloud nine now that he's here, and Mark's like, all right, like, it says like, I'm out of here. It cuts to like the security footage of him like as he's leaving, and you see him like just like stealing shit before he walks out.
This is great. And only because the guy told him not to steal stuff, right? Like if he hadn't mentioned that Marc Maron is not stealing these things, and then he just swipes everything off of a shelf.
So it's also spite stealing too, because like you don't get the inference that he's like a comic book collector guy. You know what I mean? Like he's just stealing
Right.
to be a fucking dickhead.
Also, it's the one guy that didn't fucking make fun of him.
Yeah.
Dude, we've all learned this in our lives. Being friends with the bad person by association makes you the bad person.
Guilty by association.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're driving home. He's like, did you have fun? He's like, yeah, I actually did. To Dave had fun. Mark obviously didn't. And they're going back and forth a little bit. You see like Mark checks his phone, and there's another tweet now from Dungeon Master that's like, thanks, Marc Maron, for driving Dave Foley to our game. Do you work for him now?
And Dave has his burrito finally.
Yeah.
All things coming up Dave today.
You know, at this point, Dave's telling him, like, listen, Mark, like, you're just not for everybody. And like, that's something that you need to accept, you know? He's like, I spent my whole day with you, and it's been trying. He's like, I don't want to defend the kids because at the end of the day, they were still trolling and being dicks.
Yeah, there's little shitheads.
But like, so like, I'm not on board with Dave, and as far as like, those are good kids, because his opinion is skewed by the fact that they like him. But I will say there is something to the fact where, like, you know, we said it earlier to a degree. It's like, yeah, you're never gonna be for everybody. It's just impossible unless you're Bruno Mars.
No, there's no way Joe likes Bruno Mars.
I don't think I know one Bruno Mars song.
You do.
What are his songs?
Didn't you do the happy song?
Of all the songs,
No, that's
you picked the
Pharrell.
most random fucking one.
Yeah.
You're like, what's his 50th biggest hit?
I don't know.
Not
how to
even,
use
that's
that.
not
Funk?
even him.
Uptown Funk?
I'm not trying to be Joe here. I'm just like, I don't know what that is.
You've definitely heard the song, yeah.
In passing, you would have had to have heard one of his songs.
Sure.
What that like? I would catch a grenade for
Oh,
you.
yeah.
That one. I don't know the rest.
I will say we talked about the Joker earlier I think it was for Joker 2. I'm not sure. I didn't watch Joker 2 when people
Nobody did.
watched it before me and told me how great it was. Bruno Mars does a song called Die With a Smile with Lady Gaga, and fantastic song. Fantastic.
Is he Lord Goo Goo? Lady Gaga and Lord Goo Goo.
I don't want to laugh, but his enjoyment is actually making me laugh.
That would be my Dungeons and Dragon name, Lord Goo Goo. Oh god.
Wow, you just turned into Seth Rogen for a second.
Again, there's a part of me that I brought this up in a recent episode. Just like, I wish like Gordo's ability to make himself laugh. It's like,
Yeah.
It's commendable. I wish I
it's
had
not
it.
bad. Like, because I find it hard to find other things that make me laugh as much as Gordo laughs at his own jokes. So like, if I was able to entertain myself that much, it would make the day go by so much easier.
He's like Master Splinter, making himself laugh.
I made another funny.
It was good. That was good. I know good humor.
After that, we cut to the two of them, and they're finally going to record that episode of the podcast together. They're sitting there and it's just like, there's just no chemistry. It's much akin to when we talk about when we had our lost episode of Pete and Pete.
Didn't take.
And they're just sitting there and they're just trying to make conversation work. And there's just nothing there. It's like, hey, so we had a big day. It's like, yep. It's like, and you got your burrito? It's like, yeah. And like, and they're like, yeah, you know what? I don't feel good. Let's just do this some other time.
I do love that at this point, though, at least Dave Foley redeems himself and he's like, I hope your cat's okay. Like, he's not being a shithead at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he was ever really a shithead. I think he was always just like, he was kind of like the on Maron's shoulder, you know, like that was just his, you know, way of speaking, was just being very blunt with Marc Maron, which you kind of have to be.
Yeah, like I think like not knowing the cat's name wasn't a sign of like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah, it was just more like I'm drunk.
That too, yeah.
But also Bammer, great cat name.
Yeah, I like that.
Mark opens up like the garage door and lets Dave leave. And then we cut to later on and now it's Hal's pet shop. And we go inside and Dave's standing next to this other dude and they're just kind of shopping. They're like making small talk, which is kind of weird because I almost feel like the way he's presented, like, Mark wouldn't be the type to just have small talk with random dudes in stores.
But I feel like the pet store he would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also kind of feel like Mark will talk to anybody who will listen.
Also true.
You know?
So they're talking about like, you know, like whatever pet food. And he's going over this thing about like how his cat had crystals in his bladder and like how they had to like save him by like putting like a tube in the pee hole or whatever.
This just happened to one of my parents' cats, and they cut his penis off.
Oh,
Ew.
what? There's no other option?
It was so bad. They had to basically make him have a like pee slit.
Put it down.
No, he's so happy. He's a young cat. I was there recently. He's like super stoked.
So does he like squat like a girl dog?
Yeah. Yeah, there's no more pee-pee.
Gordo was like, does it squat like a girl dog?
Immediately goes to dog. Yeah.
Even though I have a girl cat. Yeah.
The cat would have died otherwise. And super young, like 2 years old. Still pretty much a kitty. Super happy once everything healed and the stitches were good.
And they don't care about their dicks like we would.
Do animals like all animals have balls that have dicks?
Yeah.
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 Are you unfamiliar with mammals?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it weird that I haven't looked at like cats' balls? Like,
Yeah, but you know basic anatomy.
Yeah, like
doesn't mean everyone has all the same shit.
Yes, it does.
No, there's animals that have all types of different things.
Well, like
Like-
alligators don't have balls, but they have like them inside.
They're not mammals.
yeah, we're speaking specifically to mammals right now.
Oh yeah, every mammal does. They have nuts.
I don't know if that's true.
I think it is literally part of the species.
I think all but platypus.
That's
Platypi.
true. They're the only egg-laying mammals.
I would be willing to say almost all mammals minus the platypus have balls.
I don't know. I've never seen a kangaroo's balls.
Oh, you're gonna really stake a claim on that hard?
Says everything has testicles except some things have internal testicles.
Thank you. It's like you won't see croc nuts going around.
Crocs aren't fucking mammals.
For the second time.
So yeah, but if you have internal testicles, like that doesn't count.
To be fair, though, Gordo lived in Florida for a lot of years, so he doesn't really know the difference between.
Still grew up in Massachusetts.
How Florida really informed you, though. I don't think you understand how much it did.
Anyways, I want to reel this in. So when he says the whole thing about like, he says, can you imagine having your pee tube clogged up? And the other guy who's been dead silent goes, urethra. He goes, what? He's like, pee tube, it's urethra. He's like, yeah, still not comfortable with it. And he's like, I had a prostate thing, so I know. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, man. You all right? He's like, yeah, I'm good. And then the guy looks at him. The guy has been very like monotone, you know what I mean? And he goes, your voice sounds familiar. Are you Marc Maron? And he's like, yeah, I am. He's like, oh my God. The guy like gets so, he's like, I love you. I'm Sid. He's like, nice to meet you, Sid. And I'll say this is one of those like, you know, it comes up in the beginning, like with Mark, when he's in his pet vet therapy session, when it's like, is it important for people to like you? when this guy recognized him, you could see like Mark like
He lights
glow
up,
for
yeah.
a moment where he
Yeah.
hasn't throughout this whole episode. Like, so he is excited to have someone be excited to talk to him.
Well, also, you have to consider, too, that it's not just that he's being recognized. It's that he's coming off being shit on totally by these kids. And now he's in a position where someone is glomming on him, right? Or glomming over him. And he's like, it's just like his, not retribution, his like, maybe retribution is the word for it. But like, it's just his moment to like juxtapose what had just happened to him.
But it's also a mirror too, right? Like it's a guy just like him whose wife left him, and now he has just the cats.
Yeah, he's like my wife left me, so now like it's just like me and the cats, and you keep us company.
And I'm just so happy for him at this part because I can relate so much. Like we get like the negative comments sometimes on Reddit and stuff. The people when we share, and then later in the day we get a message from a fan saying how much they like something. Brings me down and it brings me really high up again.
Yeah, I mean, we tell people all the time, and again, I'll say, S1E1 pod, for you guys, and I'm not fishing for compliments. Don't be like, hey, please message us and write nice things.
I
want you guys to know,
do it
when you guys do things like that, and people who do reach out and have told us, how you found us or anything like that, and that you like the show. It does. We share those messages with one another, and we talk about them. And it is.
You make our days.
It is very humbling.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it is so yes, you can relate with where Mark is right here in that world to be recognized and to know that like what you're doing positively affects somebody.
I will say this: I don't know what I would do if somebody recognized my voice and was like, "Oh my God, you're Gordo from the S1E1."
Oh,
podcast.
like in public, yeah.
Like, I would probably light up too.
Yeah.
I would assume I was looking for like the weird red dot that was going to be whatever assassin's bullet that was coming for me. Like that was a way to like connect me to be like, it's him, go for it.
You just get hit by a gluten bullet.
One thing too is like we forget like here, like this guy Sid is saying like, oh, your three cats, Monkey, Boomer, and LaFonda, right? He's like, yeah, you got it. Which I guess are Marc Maron's, or at least at the time, the names of his actual cats.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, in the early days when Boomer was the first to die, and he still does end his episodes now yelling, Boomer lives.
That's the name of the production studio in this.
Yeah.
I mean, we also have had people reach out and, you forget because we get into these tangents and we talk about old stories or just about our lives. And, then you'll have, some of you guys will comment or send us a message and it will be about like stuff about us, like individually. And you go, oh man, that's so crazy. Like, people have gotten to know us as people through our, storytelling through the shows. And again, it's like not to, it's weird to talk about it in a way, but it is very appreciative from us when people do stuff and have taken so much interest in what we do. Back here, Sid's saying like, hey, like I got a few cats at my house. He's like, it's like I'm running a shelter out of the house. He's like, because I am. He's like, you should come by, you'd love it.
I love that fucking line.
Yeah, it was a little much. He's telling him to come by. He's like, oh, I'd love to, but like I got a thing going on today. It cuts and we see him back like recording his show. And it looks like they're gonna be using his podcast as a vehicle to kind of intro and close out the show. At least in this episode it does, and it makes sense that that's kind of the device they're going to use in future episodes.
I like that. It's kind of like a Seinfeld type deal.
Yeah. It's in that vein, only more targeted to like what Marc Maron, and he's also a stand-up, but like he's so known for his podcast.
Or Mulaney.
And the podcast is such a big piece of what the show is. They're using that as a kind of what their story like. A lot. It seems like a lot of these stories are going to be based around the fact that he's a podcaster.
What's the deal with microphones?
Imagine if we got a sitcom from doing a podcast about sitcoms.
It'd be like the Monkeys.
I want to cover the Monkeys. We'll get there.
We only have one monkey left, so
if we do that music month.
Yeah, we've talked about some ways to do it. But yeah, I mean, so basically we just kind of get like a long speech from Mark here. It rounds out the episode. I mean, basically just saying like just how like things don't always pan out exactly as you want, but there's things that'll get you through it. It's a long speech, nothing like I don't know if there's anything very quotable inside of it that like stood out to me.
I think the quotable part is, I am who I am, you're a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, after he closes out on that, we get like the final scene, like the kind of like the credit scene, and it's just him at that guy Sid's house with all the cats. And like there's like the one that likes taking him's like, oh, you know, he doesn't usually like people like that. And he's asking like, you think you're gonna get him? He's like, no, I'm not bringing any of these home. And it's just like, just funny the idea that like after all, like that's where he really is in life, that he's like, you know what, I am gonna go to this guy's house and play with all the cats.
But also that this guy is like, I've got too many fucking cats. Or he's like, he's fixed, you could take him. Like he's just like realized that this is too much for him to handle.
Oh no, he's running a shelter.
Yeah, but I think that the joke is like he doesn't want to be doing that, right? Like he maybe got himself into it.
I don't know if it's because it's not like this is not like a standard like 3-camera sitcom or whatever, but for whatever reason, when this scene popped up, I felt like it was the episode 2 was starting. It didn't feel like the last scene. I was like, oh, did this video like that I found go too far?
Well, then there was like a next week on Maron. So that confused me a little bit, or like behind the scenes, like
yeah.
IFC is weird, right? Like they are kind of like the in between the old way things are done and the new way things are done.
They love to stretch out their content by giving you like the bonus content,
right,
to the shows they already have.
And like, I don't love Portlandia, but they obviously hit the jackpot with Portlandia, right? Because like people loved that. And I didn't think they expected it to, right? Like it became a huge deal, and they were like, "Oh shit, we've got money and cachet all of a sudden. We can like do other stuff." Before that, they were like distributing independent movies and having a network that played like weird old stuff at night. Like I think they were definitely trying to go through some growing pains here, where they were like, "We have money and we can like do stuff," and like didn't quite know how to do it, but want to do it different than like a standard network.
Kind of like when like True TV picked up like Impractical Jokers, and they're like, cha-ching.
True TV is just Impractical Jokers and ghost shows all day now. It's one or the other, and aliens.
Oh no, they also have the who's the magician? The Cabanero Effect.
I love Impractical Jokers.
I've never found it funny.
Really? I
Yeah.
think there's some really funny ones on there.
There's some that are and some that aren't.
I think it's another one of those shows, though, that like a lot of the humor is connecting. You know, it's just like this whole episode. So it actually rounds out. It's connecting to those 4 guys.
Yeah.
And once you become like acclimated to them and like learn their individual traits and kind of turn yourself into the 5th member of their gang, like it helps make everything else enjoyable. But all that said, we covered the entire episode. I tried looking, there wasn't like a ton of information on the show out there. Like it just kind of exists and it is what it is. But there wasn't a lot of like fun facts about the production of the show or anything that like was popping up. Yeah. Again, I guess to round up before we like do like the green light or cancel, Marc Maron, this show lasted, the few years it did, and he's still podcasting to this day. So, and hitting the road and doing his stand up and all this stuff. And Marc Maron's has been around for an eternity. He has another movie that's coming out soon. As of the time of we're recording this, a movie that's coming out soon that I was looking forward to. But it's not quite done yet. With all that in mind, not ramble on and keep you guys. We'll do the green light or cancel. Joe, start with you.
I will start with, and we've said it previously, I'll just throw it into the ether. It is a fucking crime that they started filming the last season of Glow and canceled it mid-season, and none of that came out. Glow was so fucking good, and Maron was so fucking good in it. It makes me so mad. That's just random thought. But I will say, I love the meta of this. We're a podcast who covers sitcoms, covering a sitcom about a podcaster. That's kind of like a fun thing that's never happened before, right? Like usually when we cover an episode, it's very rare that something we haven't been able to at least say it's the trope of X, Y, or Z. I mean, I may be a little biased because I do love Maron. I've been listening to him for over a decade and still do to this day. But I laughed so many times at this, genuinely. And literally, when we said earlier, like, you have to just buy it so we can get it now, I was like, I'm going to buy it. And I remember some of the guests who come on. I forget the actor's name who plays Big Head in Silicon Valley. He becomes his personal assistant. Like, the show just keeps getting funnier and funnier.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's very funny in this.
Josh Brenner.
Yeah, I fucking love this show. This is a huge green light for me.
Berg.
Yeah, I'm with Joe. It's a green light for me. I like the show. It dares to be different. They're doing the whole comedian thing, but it's not a clone of Seinfeld, which is where a lot of these fail. They let him play himself and just do his own thing. Got a lot of adult humor, which I think all of us enjoy. I love the idea that there's a different guest each time, and it comes through the podcast, so I feel like we could all relate. Because of those ups and downs he has, I felt those. And I wonder if we weren't part of the podcast, would I have related? Probably not. But we are on a podcast, and I do relate. So it gets a green light for me. I don't listen to his podcast or anything, but maybe I'll give it a shot now. Yeah, green light.
I'll jump in. Yeah, listen, I went in this with no specific expectations. I didn't really know too much about the show other than the fact that it existed and that I like Marc Maron. And I got to tell you, something about the way it rides this line where Gordo earlier kind of insinuated that this wasn't really too comedic. It's definitely a different sense of humor. It's not going for big laughs. Stylistically, it rides that line really nicely. And to me, this is a show that could easily, once I watch it, I wouldn't be shocked if this becomes one of my all-timer favorite type of shows. I loved watching this episode. I thought this was great. It was a good tone. It flowed really well. This is kind of my speed for a lot of shows too. So I just really enjoyed it. And that's really all it comes down to. So it's a green light for me. Nick.
Yeah, easy green light for me too, without reiterating too much of what other people said. But it's I don't know. I just like how he gets into these raw personal emotions that everybody has, right? And he's very open about them. And that's just his life in this episode is dealing with, specific interactions with those emotions. And it's just, it's out of the box. Like what one of you said, I think Burger Joe said, it's just a different take on the comedian sitcom. And I love Marc Maron. He's good at what he does. He's funny. And I can just see a lot of potential. I don't know if anybody mentioned it, but I think I see a lot of Curb Your Enthusiasm, maybe more than anything, just in just kind of the way he is just so socially destructive sometimes. So I mean, if that's a comparison you can draw, then I think that would be really hard to not give it a green light. So yeah, I definitely want to keep watching. Like I said, I've seen it before, but I'm gonna keep watching it again. Yeah, easy green light.
Gordo.
So I was going to say it's very much like Curb. That was actually in my head as you were saying it, Nick. So like I said, it wasn't haha funny. It wasn't very comedic. And when I first was watching it, I was oh, I don't know if it will just be sort of one laugh at the end and the rest of the episode kind of meh. Because I don't know his stand-up. I don't listen to his podcast. I only know him by name. I've heard of the show, but this is the first time watching it. And at first I wanted to kind of lean towards cancel, but then I looked at the time and it was only a minute in, and the rest of the show before I knew it, it was ending, and he's endearing in a way, in a weird, sick way. So I would watch a second episode now that I know there's going to be different people coming in and such. I definitely would check out a second episode. It's not going to make you belly laugh throughout the whole thing, but it's good enough for government work. So it's a green light from me.
Well, with that in mind, that's a perfect 5 out of 5. So Congratulations to Maron. You do live on to see a second episode with us. I want to thank all of you guys for listening, just like every week. S1E1pod.com is where you can find our links to everything, our merch store. Rate, review, subscribe, leave comments. I mean, that stuff does, for the algorithm's sake, does a lot for us, so we appreciate it. But additionally, like I said, our social medias exist, S1E1 Pod. We do legitimately enjoy talking to you guys when we have the opportunity, so feel free to do so there. With that in mind, that's all the time we have for this week. So until next time, we'll see you again. Thank you. Goodbye.
I think we got the best spite, baby.